My name is Jane Sheats, and I live in Cleveland. And for decades, I've worked to protect everyone's right to vote. Back in the 1970s, I served as chairperson of the Cuyahoga County Board of Election. The job was simply to ensure elections were administered fairly and that the hard-earned rights of the civil rights era were enforced and respected. The job was also challenging, even as it was so rewarding. Access to the ballot box means we live up to the values that make our country great, like fairness and opportunity. Yet it's those values that are always the hardest fought for. It was then, and it is now. That's why I stand by our president as he stands by us. Each of you might be involved in the campaign or thinking of getting involved for different reasons. It might be because of what he's doing on jobs and the economy, or health care and education. It might be because he's trying to make sure everyone has a fair shake in life. And still for others, you want your children believing that they can be anybody when they grow up, even President of the United States. So it's personal for each of us. And that's why everywhere I go to do voter registration, I hand out a postcard that says, you've got to register and actually vote. You've got to remind folks to vote. Only by actually voting will you really make a difference. And even when there are those in Ohio trying to make voting harder, not easier, I remind folks to never forget that we stand on some pretty strong shoulders that help lift us up. In 2004, I was in Selma, Alabama for a get-together where they honored several of us invisible giants of the civil rights era, ordinary folks who do extraordinary things to protect our rights. In 2007, then Senator Obama spoke at Selma's Brown Chapel AME. He talked about Ohio's own Reverend Otis Moss Jr., and he talked about the lessons passed from those of us in the Moses generation to those of you in the Joshua generation. Then Senator Obama said, part of what the Moses generation teaches us is not saying to ourselves we can't do something, but telling ourselves that we can achieve. For the last 3.5 years now, President Obama has been showing us what we can achieve. And I'm so honored to introduce a woman that shows us that too. As a lawyer and advocate, she reminds us that democracy isn't a spectator sport. And as a wife, mother, and role model, she reminds us that we really are our brothers and sisters' keepers, that we really are greater together. So it's with great honor of my life to introduce the First Lady of the United States, Michelle Obama.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Jane. Thank you for that wonderful, inspiring, and very generous introduction. As Barack always says, we are standing on your shoulders. We are here because of all that you and so many others have done to pave the way and show us what is possible. So I'm proud to be on this call, and I want to thank you for everything that you've done to make this country great and everything that you're doing to make this campaign possible. I also want to thank everyone who's taken time out of their busy days to be on this call, and to thank you for all the hard work that you're doing every single day on our campaign in Ohio. As you all know, Barack and I, we had a great time on the campaign at Ohio State last month. That crowd was amazing. It really energized us, and I was excited, just as excited, to return a couple weeks ago and meet some of our fabulous grassroots team in Cleveland. So we spent a lot of time in Ohio, and we're going to be back, and we're going to be working arm in arm